We all remember 2021. This was a crazy year. At this moment, I have switched over to the blockchain team at JP Morgan as like on the founding member side, kind of helping them out on as a technical design strategist, and working with them, all these things. Great. Still doing ARTXCODE on the side, and we start to see art blocks kick off. In I think it was February, Ringers came out, and that was something when he said that he was going to be doing Ringers. It was like, great, how can we help? We did an interview that kind of got shared around, and it was really allowed people to understand like what Ringers was and what he was trying to accomplish with that. And so everything pops off. JPEG summer, we all remember, it was awesome. Everyone's like having a great time, and kind of learning all these people who are into generative art. But then we see the auction houses come in, and I remember Sotheby's doing a curation, and I was getting frustrated at this moment because I'm seeing people come into the space, really trying to make some money and showcasing work, but like doing it in just like such a poor way. And I was annoyed. But seeing the Sotheby's show really killed me for multiple reasons. So and it's not that it was getting sold. I was really happy to see him, and I know it was really big for him to be to have his work at Sotheby's. It was just the way that it was displayed really angered me. It was a work that I had curated. I felt very connected to it, understood its beauty, really understood, and it was a square work, and they put it up on a 16:9 TV screen on a stand. You saw the black bars, you saw this, and it sold for it sold for over $1 million. I know, and I love the collector who bought it. They're like great people, but thank God that the collector understood what was going on, because to me, from the outside looking in, it looked like a joke. It looked like a joke, and that really got me angry, because it's like, I've spent so much time, small in the grand scheme of things, I had spent time really trying to show people how incredible generative art is, how important it is, and then you're like, it's digital art, we show it on a digital screen. It just was lazy, and it really put a fire under me to just go for it. And so that was when I decided, okay, I reached out to Eric from Art Blocks, and I was like, I want to do a crazy show for Art Basel. I want to do a massive show for Art Basel. And he was like, okay, let me know how I can support. And so that's when I decided I was going to leave JP Morgan and focus on doing. I had already seen all of these artists I had been working with absolutely killing it, because then we had Fidenzas come out, we had, Helena was doing great. All these artists that like I had been working with in these early days were doing wonderfully. So I was like, okay, you know what? Screw it, let's do it. And so I quit my job and just went off on organizing this event that I called the Digital. And so for me, the idea was the SEO probably wasn't that great, but the idea was creating a space where you could walk into like this digital world that we have been living in, but doing it in a way that to me actually respected the artist and the art, and just it was like my love letter to the community, I would say.
So it was in a way, it was a way to display digital art physically, but properly, right? Like the with all the stories and the right setup, and depending on each artwork, there were the particularities, right, different from just a TV screen, right?
Yeah.
So
So
that's the what was the how do you do? Will you describe that show? The difference between that show and what you saw at Sotheby's?
well, I think it was really thinking about the artists first, their intentions first. I use Casey Reus's work as a really good example. Centuries, they're circular, they're animated, and thinking about how to showcase that work. I started thinking about it. I'm like, am I going to build portholes? Am I going to do like, what am I going to do? And I was like, wait, let me just reach out to him. And so when I reached out to him, he had an entire like all these examples of how he envisioned it, which was creating these circular like discs on the wall mounted, and then you projection map onto those discs, and it's like, of course that's like that makes so much sense. And so talking to him about it like that, we could work with our production team. We got that done, and it looked beautiful. The same thing with Jeff Davis's work, where we were trying to debate which ones are going to be on screens, which ones are going to be printed, and Jeff was like, well, look, color studies are a study of digital colors. You cannot print them. It decouples them from their actual purpose, which is looking at digital color. And there were some other artists where, they totally took my recommendation, where, I thought the Fidenza, I thought that the subscapes would look, and Himins would look really, really great printed, because you could see the detail in a way that you don't always see on your computer. And so that allowed people to go in and be like, oh my God, I didn't realize that this actually had this much detail. I didn't realize that this looks so soft. And then the curveball of all of them was the Chromie Squiggle, where I was like, Eric, can you please let me showcase this work as a hologram? And he was like, sure, yeah. So we did work with a third-party artist to make it into 3D render, where they were, and Eric worked with them to make sure that it was accurate. But for me, it was kind of, all I wanted was it to feel like this artifact that you could walk around. And, kind of when we go to a museum and we'll see like a vase or some old, some old artifact from who knows when. And it really did have that effect, and that's all I wanted. And I was really lucky that Eric was open to the idea. But again, it's always having conversations with the artist and understanding what they want to do, and also understanding like the people who are looking at it. Like, what is the goal of putting up this artwork in the first place? It's to make people connect with it, to understand it the best that they can, and to see maybe what you can't when you're just on your computer, to really help contextualize the movement that was happening. And it was, I mean, to this day, it's still one of like the proudest moments of my life. It took a lot out of me. I think that like it's taken a year and a half for me to be like, okay, because I really didn't have like a full team at the time. It was just me and a few people like just trying to make it happen. And yeah, it was awesome.